Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Mega Park. A little bit of a longer episode today. I do two coasters in this episode and also a splash boat. So I'm not sure how much I'll talk about that right now because I'm in the previous video I mentioned wanting to do a Q&A, and that's what I'll be doing in this episode today. Last episode I did a park overview of what I had so far. I showed the stats of all the roller coasters, and then again I mentioned that I would like to do a Q&A, and I got a pretty good pile of questions in the comments from that video, which is amazing, and I will take the time to answer them here in this video. And I'll put a nice visual on the screen of each comment as well. My editing skills are just top notch. It's fun. Then I kind of figured out how to do overlays in my editing program. So the first question is, what part of the world do you live in? Also, would you ever dive deeper into custom supports on some of the coasters? So yes, I live in Wisconsin, born and raised, a pretty boring state in the US, but I love it here and don't plan on living anywhere else. Fun fact about Wisconsin, we hold the largest outdoor water park in the United States. Which is interesting considering we have winter for 10 months of the year. But I do like to travel. I've been to several states throughout the country, but I've never left the country. I just need a little bit more money, and then I like to eventually explore some parts of the world out there. Some fun facts about me: I am an adrenaline junkie. I do love roller coasters in real life. I've skydived a handful of times, and I even wing walked last August, and I did that in Washington. So yeah, I like to do crazy things. I have bungee jumping and zip lining on my bucket list because it sounds fun and intense, and I've never done it, so that's a little bit about me. And the second question from that comment asking if I would dive deeper into custom supports for some of the coasters. In this park, probably very minimal. I'm not doing any custom scenery in this park, but I do have some options of supports in the selection I have available, but it won't be the main focus for any of my rides. For wooden roller coasters, absolutely, because for the two wooden coasters that I've built so far, I've done custom supports, and those custom wooden supports just work so well. As for all the other rides, mostly like the steel ones, mostly no. I'm keeping this mega park fairly simple when it comes to designing, but if I ever do smaller parks in the future where the main focus is detailing, absolutely I would do that. But in this park, probably not for the most part. The next question is, what's your favorite in real life roller coaster and theme park? So up until 2022, the only amusement park I've gone to, I have two of them actually. Six Flags Great America, which is just outside of the Chicago area, and then also Michigan's Adventure. That's it. I did Six Flags Great America twice in my life, and I'm 25 years old. And Michigan's Adventure I did once, and that was like 10, 12 years ago, so I don't really remember it that much. But last year in August of 2023, I did a road trip with my dad, and we visited Indiana Beach Boardwalk Resort, Kings Island, and Cedar Point in Ohio. We did 3 amusement parks in the span of 4 or 5 days, and it was amazing. So at Six Flags Great America, my top 3 roller coasters are Raging Bull, Goliath, and X-Flight. I've told a lot of people that X-Flight was my favorite roller coaster there, and I've probably said X-Flight was my favorite pretty recently too. It's a very smooth wing coaster, not incredibly tall compared to a lot of coasters out there, but the smoothness and the feeling of thinking your feet are going to get chopped off is amazing. But now that I'm really thinking about it, I might have to say Goliath is my favorite there. I don't know, hybrid coasters are just so cool. However, after visiting Kings Island and Cedar Point for the first time last year, I'm going to have to say Steel Vengeance is pretty high up there. I just have a love for hybrid coasters. No, this was a tough decision because there were so many good rides at Cedar Point. Maverick was insane, and I've chatted with people in the Discord, and I think a lot of people say Maverick is their favorite. I've never been on a coaster like that before. Millennium Force was also a contender up there. I generally do like coasters that are just tall and have minimal inversions, so a coaster like Millennium Force is right up my alley. Unfortunately, that one Magnum, I forget what the exact name, the Magnum coaster, that giant tall red one at Cedar Point, well, that was unfortunately closed when I was there. There was like a chain lift malfunction 2 weeks earlier. I'm sure you could probably look up the story. It happened in probably end of July or beginning of August. There's a chain lift thing, and it was still down, which was upsetting, but oh well, maybe someday. Speaking of coasters that I'm not really liking, in Kings Island, the inverted coaster Banshee, where it's just a loop and then a twist and then a corkscrew and then a loop and then it's just like inversion after inversion after inversion. That one was just a little bit much for me. Like I said, I kind of like coasters that are just tall and straightforward. I kind of like to see where I'm going on a coaster. But, Banshee, that one kind of gave me a headache. So I'll put a nice visual on the screen of my top 10 roller coasters for a little bit, because right now, I didn't really rank it, but maybe in post I'll kind of really think about it and put my top 10 there, along with each park. Again, really tough to rank these because I love a lot of types of roller coasters. And I like certain coasters for certain things, and sometimes I like this coaster, and then I really think about this coaster, and I'm like, man, do I like that one better? It's tough, but yeah. As for my favorite theme park, I'll have to say Cedar Point, because most of my favorite roller coasters are from that park. I did feel that Kings Island was a little more spread out, more scenic. It felt a little bit more put together, felt a little cleaner. I think Kings Island has the best entrance out of any theme park I've been to. It was beautiful. Cedar Point felt a little bit more messy and disorganized, but it was the most memorable I'd have to say. So I'd have to say Cedar Point at number 1, then Kings Island at number 2, and then Six Flags Great America at number 3. I'd love to visit more theme parks across the US or even the world in the future, but I know Cedar Point is known for being one of the best out there, so I'm not sure if Cedar Point will ever get replaced as my number 1. Next question. What is your favorite roller coaster in real life, and have you ever tried to recreate it in Roller Coaster Tycoon? So like I said, I do have a love for Steel Vengeance, like I mentioned, and no, I have not. The only time I've ever recreated a coaster was in Planet Coaster, probably in 2018, and that was on my own time, and I did not upload that to YouTube. Will I ever recreate a coaster or an actual park in this game? Probably not, because I feel like it's a little less creative on my part, and I like playing this game because of the freedom I have to build. The freedom to build wacky coaster layouts and building cool structures, but great question nonetheless. Next question is, do you have any advice for building scenery? Yeah, this might be tough to explain in a time lapse, but some tips I have are: stay away from symmetrical buildings, or at least mix in some asymmetrical buildings in your work, and also don't be afraid to dive into multiple scenery categories for a singular building. So like there's one station I have in this park where I use mechanical theming, abstract theming, and pirate theming, and actually in this episode I go all over the place with different kinds of themes with the splash boats area. I do that kind of towards the end of the episode, and it all just kind of blends together pretty well. I do have a messy building style personally, but I know a lot of people kind of go into other categories of theming. So definitely add a variety of scenery elements, add some walls that have windows, some with doors, do a variety of colors, I do tons of trial and error. Like the second episode of this series, I built a coaster called Bananarama, and I completely demolished it and rebuilt it 2 episodes later because I wasn't proud of it. So that happens. Don't be afraid to completely redo something that you created. Again, it takes trial and error. I will link some tutorial videos in the description that I think are useful when it comes to scenery. I don't personally have any tutorial videos out there, and I don't plan on making any. But there are some good content creators out there that have very nice tutorial videos, so check the description for that. Next question is, what's your favorite band that has or will become a coaster? So yes, there's this website called pubmeeple.com, which is a ranking engine. So what you do is you input as many items as you want, and in this case the items are bands, and I put in like 20 to 30 bands that I really like to listen to, and then it gives me 2 choices at a time that I get to choose from, rather than just trying to manually rank my favorite bands by myself. The website kind of gives me 2 bands at a time, random each time, and then I choose my favorite until it has all the information it needs, and then it ranks them for me, which is pretty dang cool. So again, I put in like 20 to 30 bands that I really like, but I'm just gonna rank my top 10 here pretty quickly. So at number 10, I have Queen. At number 9, I have REO Speedwagon, and number 8, I have Styx. I got to watch REO Speedwagon and Styx live back in 2022, and it was amazing. They kind of did a collaboration concert. It was back to back, REO Speedwagon and Styx. So if it weren't for those concerts, I probably wouldn't have ranked either of those bands in my top 10. But I really got to listen to them in the last year or so. At number 7, I have Foreigner. At number 6, I have Journey. At number 5, I have Electric Light Orchestra. At number 4, I have Toto. Africa by Toto is my favorite song of all time. Now, my favorite song of all time kind of does change every few months because I'll listen to that song so much that I get sick of it, and then I get a new favorite song. But Africa is a song that I have loved for so many years and still play it a lot to this day, and I don't get sick of it, so I had to rank Toto pretty high on my list. And they do have a lot of other great songs that I feel are very underrated, and I still have like recently discovered some new songs of theirs that I just kind of like looked and browsed through Spotify. I'm like, dang, these are good. I'm also excited because I plan on seeing Toto live in April. So looking forward to that, just in a few months here. In number 3, I have Rush. This is my older brother's favorite band, and as a kid, my brother and my dad played this one Rush tour video that I thought was really cool. So I've been listening to them for a while. I do think the drummer for Rush is the greatest drummer of all time. Was the greatest drummer of all time, rest in peace. And I think a lot of people would agree to that, even people that don't like the band. They will probably admit that he's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, his drum set is just insane. Just watching him spin around and hitting drums is crazy to me, but yeah, it's fun to watch their videos and their live stuff. So at number 2, I have Boston, which is a band I started getting into in 2022, actually, pretty new. They have a lot of good classic songs and just good to listen to. And finally, at number 1, I have Kansas. I'll put another visual on the screen for a bit of my top 10 bands that I just said. But for Kansas, this is also a band that my dad would play a lot when I was younger. Their songs are more instrumental than the rest of the bands that I like here. You know, I like the crazy synth and guitar sections they do. They are very experimental with their music as well. Most people probably only know 1 or 2 songs from them, Dust in the Wind and Carry On My Wayward Son. And it's kind of funny because I would actually not put either of those two songs in my top 20 Kansas songs. I really like Song for America and Miracles Out of Nowhere. Those are probably my top 2 Kansas songs. I got to see them live twice, although only 2 of them were the original members, and the rest were replaced or added between the 70s and today. But still a very fun experience. 2 of them are one of the founders, so pretty cool. So yeah, those are my top 10 bands. And the other part of your question is, have you built any coasters so far with those band names? Journey, I guess, would be the only band in my top 10 that I've named a roller coaster in this park, and that is that giant wooden coaster I built in episode 3. The other 9 bands have not been used yet, but they will for sure be at some point in this series. And finally, the last 3 questions I have. What finally pushed you to start working on your mega park? What's one thing you would love seeing more in the community? And what's the best cheese in the world? So again, I do live in Wisconsin. We are known for our cheese here. I'm gonna have to stick with the sharp cheddar, extra sharp. Definitely prefer that over mild cheddar. I don't prefer cheeses that are more rubbery, I guess you could say. So extra sharp cheddar. And what's one thing you would love seeing more in the community? Honestly, I like to see more mega parks out there. I know they were pretty big 10 years ago, and I've seen a handful of videos out there of mega parks, but these days, not seeing much of it, and I would love to see more of that. I'm so glad that we have a nice Discord community and people sharing their creations which is awesome. But it seems like these days I see tons more small parks with a couple roller coasters, which is very well done. Don't get me wrong, but I think the gigantic mega parks with 150 roller coasters is much more fun to look at and explore. They obviously take a lot of time and work to do, but I don't know, I just love mega parks so much. But I took a lot of inspiration from 3 mega parks actually. One being Flux Trance, the other being Hank, and the other one being Roy R. Hank's Mega Park is unfortunately not complete, and it doesn't look like it will be finished, but I will link his first episode in the description. His Mega Park is just amazing, and it also does the no custom scenery as well. And I will also link Roy R's Mega Park. He has his finished. I'll link his cinematic showcase video in the description as well. And then the final question: what finally pushed you to start working on your mega park? So I've been active in the Roller Coaster and Friends Discord server ever since it was created, but I've mostly active in the off-topic channel where I just talk about life and stuff. But I don't know, 6 months ago I started looking at the coaster chats and seeing people's creations, and I'm like, dang, I should really get back into this game, because I really took a 4-year hiatus of this game. And man, when I first created the map for this mega park, I stared at this giant blank map for days, because I was like, I can't do this. But I was like, where do I start? But I started recording, started building some stuff, and I was, just kind of took off from there. And now that I have a lot done in this park so far, it's a lot easier to kind of keep going. I know the start of every time I build something new is always the most difficult, but then as I get going, I'm on a roll. So basically I just went for it, and it worked, and I'm glad that everybody's watching. So yeah, those are my questions. Now it's kind of time to chat about what I'm building this episode today. I'm probably going to name the episode Sweet and Pearl Jam. So the yellow corkscrew coaster that it's already passed at this point, that was the first 10 minutes, not even, of this video. I built a corkscrew coaster called Sweet after the band Sweet. I don't know much about that band. The Fox on the Run is their most popular song, I would say, and I do like that one, that song actually. But other than that, I don't know much about this band, but I thought it was kind of a cool coaster name for a corkscrew. And Sweet being the name of the band, I think it fit well that I put the candy theme. I did like a little bit of candy theming for the scenery around the coaster, because candy are sweets. So it kind of made sense. I kind of sprinkled in some candy theming. Not my favorite scenery selection, and not one that I go to often at all, but it, I don't know, kind of worked a little bit. And then I built a splash boats here at the end, along with a mine ride coaster that I called Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam, another band that I don't know much about. I don't choose to listen to them, but I know they were pretty big in the 90s, in the early 2000s. But, not something that I put in my playlists personally, but I definitely like to include bands that I'm not even a fan of as well. Because there's a couple bands in here that I've named so far from my coasters that I'm not a fan of, but I shouldn't say I'm not a fan of. I just don't choose to listen to them. So Pearl Jam, I chose like an off-white color for the mine ride because that's the color of pearls, and I kind of did a very big terraforming mountain for this one. As you guys know, I'm very big into messing with the tiles and making mountains and structures and just weird stuff with the terrain. And messing with the textures, doing some rock textures and stuff like that. And I kind of had to weave through a splash boats ride that I don't really go to that often, but I like to try to incorporate one of each type of ride at least somewhere in this park. And I might build another splash boats eventually down the road. The splash boats does not have a name at the moment, and I probably will hold off on naming any tracked rides that are not roller coasters until the very end, because I do want to save the band names for the coasters, and then if I have any leftover names that I haven't gone to yet, I'll start naming it, such as like the go-karts here as well, because I have a go-karts here that I don't have a name for as well. And then I'm just doing this really crazy random building structure that kind of connects the splash boats, the river rafts, the go-karts, and the mine ride. It's just, I just go for it with the scenery. I really don't have a plan when I start. I just build random little structures, and my roofs are kind of messy and crazy. That's my style. I know it's not for everybody. I've heard some people say that the roofs are just all over the place, but I don't know. It's fun. I like to do it like that. And then I just kind of decorate a crap ton of trees at the end. I always go pretty dang dense with the trees. And then I do a few waterfalls. As you can see, I did add some water features. And I tried to kind of connect it and merge it with the wooden coaster I have there in the corner. I tried to blend it as best as possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say about that. If you have any suggestions for other band names I can name, I do have a spreadsheet that I haven't posted or anything, but it's just kind of for me on this side. I have like possible band names. I listed a bunch of band names, and then I kind of connected certain ones to certain coasters that I felt would fit well, but obviously feel free to list any suggestions out there. So yeah, that is it. I'll probably have these last few minutes just be music because I'm running out of things to talk about. And this was kind of a bit of a longer episode today. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.